Festive stress. It is a real thing for women this time of year. Between Christmas shopping and family gatherings, spending time with our spouses can fall to the bottom of our priority list. My next guest says keeping our marriages strong can bring greater fulfillment to the holiday season. Joining me right now is Shara Parker, a marriage and family counselor, as well as a certified sex therapist. So this is the moment that we like to say, if you want to send those little ears out of the room for just a few minutes, we want to give you that heads up because this might get a little saucy, right?
Not too much.
Not too much, maybe a holiday saucy, we'll say it that way.
That's good.
Okay, let's talk about keeping marriages strong during the holidays because that is hard, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, Christmas is such a wonderful time of year, but it's a stressful time of year.
Right.
And so if you are not kind of intentionally making your marriage a priority, it's going to slip a little. And, you know, I struggle enough to keep couples to keep their marriage strong through the whole year. So at Christmas, it becomes especially important to do so.
Especially when you're focused on so many other people at that time of year. Okay, let's talk about, you have 5 different ways that we can really strengthen that relationship. Let's talk about this first one. Simple. Date night. Date night.
So this is my go-to #1 counsel for couples. I even have this on the license plate of my car. It's so important to me. So yeah, date night. I mean, this is a minimum, if we can, is once a week. But you know, even if you could just make sure you schedule one official date night with your spouse between now and the New Year's.
Yeah.
I mean, you just need to keep that going.
Even if it is holiday themed. Yeah. Make it a date night.
Fine. And make it just you two. Because we do a lot of family things, but we forget to do couple things.
Right, right. Okay, and that leads me to the next one here, couple time.
Couple time. The reason why I added that is that even though date night ideally is happening once a week, we do need to nourish our marriage more than once a week. Okay. So couple time is like almost like a daily type of a ritual. This could be a daily take the dog for a walk, a daily watch an episode of a show together, a daily, I like the concept of pillow talk where we just spend a little bit of time before we go to bed, keep phones out of the bedroom if you possibly can, and just have a little bit of one-on-one.
The you time.
The fun thing that my husband, you know, he's, you know, even just texting can be a little bit of couple time, and my husband will send like 15 emojis just because he's not naturally as expressive as I am, so he's cheating a little, but it's just a little way to stay connected during the day.
Something that the two of you have. Okay, this next one here, you got to up the touch is what you're saying.
Touch more. You know, if you ask pretty much any husband what they would most like for Christmas, they would like more lovemaking.
We know. Yep.
And so, but not just men, but women also are needing more affection. So we do need to have more kissing, more touching, more hugging, more hand holding. A lot of times we're not even holding hands when we could. And so not just sex, but also just touch.
And it's looking for those moments to do that. I mean, so many times we're so busy and running around, but taking a moment, say hello when they come home, give them a kiss, hold a hand. I love that.
Even run into them in the kitchen.
Yeah, make it a little flirty.
Yep, a little flirty is good.
All right, this 4th one here, express appreciation. That's so important.
Yes, I mean, I think this applies equally to both men and women. I think both of them feel underappreciated. But I had a client just this last week where he's just like, I just feel like she doesn't really recognize how much I do. I feel taken for granted, and it's just, that creates disconnection. So when his wife came in, I was like, okay, let's figure out what we can do here. We came up with a little mnemonic device, CAT, compliment, affection, or compliment, appreciation, and touch. And that's a little way she can remember to keep that connection for that particular couple.
Do you have any recommendations of just certain things you could do to beyond that, like some activities, to express that appreciation, or gestures? I
mean, a lot of it is figuring out what their love language is, because they're going to feel most appreciated by this particular man. His love language was a little bit of words of affirmation, a little bit of physical touch. So that's why we have both in there. So if you can figure that out, and on my website I've got a worksheet, Laura's love language worksheet, where couples can write down 10 things that specifically make them feel loved, and go from there. Okay,
that's good. Okay, and then the other thing here, cut back. Cut back what?
Cut back. This is super important for Christmas because there's so much added layer of stuff to do. If we can find one thing that we can cut back on, one thing we could simplify, or one thing we could say no to. The other great gift that we can give our spouse is to say no to one thing and say yes to them. I have a lot of couples. I'm thinking one husband in particular who says, you know, I would do anything to get to the top of my wife's to-do list. So that's sad. And yet, women especially are busy at Christmas because they sometimes do a lot of that extra work.
We are very busy. We are.
So find something to not do. Cut back on an activity you go to. Cut back on your Christmas cards. Cut back on the number of presents. Cut back on something.
And do you then take that to your spouse and say, what is most important to you, or what would you like to do?
You could. That's obviously an ideal, but but you go back to any of those 5 items, just making time for a date night, just making time to make love a little bit, just making time to touch a little more and sit and watch a show together.
Cuddle up, yep.
Any of that.
Any of that will work. Okay, tell us about your book a little bit here.
Oh, this is my second book, Knowing Her Intimately, 12 Keys for Creating a Sextraordinary Marriage. I mean, Shara, I'm all about creating awesome marriages, and so this Christmas time is super important, but I want awesome all year round. And I, as a sex therapist, I want not just awesome marriage, but awesome the sexual dimension too, because that tends to be the one we struggle with the most.
It does help in that process too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, give us your website again.
StrengtheningMarriage.com.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. It's always a good reminder.
Yeah.
We got to slow down and remember who's most important in our lives. Thank you very much, Laura. We appreciate it.